You're royalty. If you have food in your refrigerator, clothes on your back, a roof over your head, and a place to sleep, you're richer than 75% of the world's population. If you have a little money or spare change in a dish somewhere, you're among the top 8% of the world's wealthy. If you can drink water from your kitchen faucet whenever you want, you're more than fortunate than 1.5 billion people who have no access to clean water. If you can attend church or a political rally without fear of harassment, arrest, or torture or death, you have the kind of freedom denied to more than 3 billion people in the world. If you can read this message or more, you're more blessed than 2 billion people who cannot read at all. If your everyday problems are weighing you down, there are millions of people on earth who would gladly trade their places right now with you, problems and all, and feel they have been royally blessed. Remember, to those to whom much is given, much is expected. There are two types of people in the world, as I told the students on last night. Not Republicans and Democrats, rich, poor, educated, uneducated, but dreamers and non-dreamers. If you go through your life, you will never get in trouble by wanting too much, but you will always get in trouble by wanting too little. To really make it big in today's marketplace, you have to do one thing. You have to do things meaningfully different. You have to zig when others zag. In Jay-Z's new album, Magna Carta, he talks about breaking through glass ceilings and kicking down wooden doors, okay? You have to do meaningfully different, okay? I'll tell you a story about a person I used to work with at IBM. I tell students when I speak to them, do not be Hal Plough, okay? Do not be Hal Plough. Hal Plough told me the story once, how this young IBM executive came to Dallas. By March of every year, he had sold all the computers in Dallas. IBM had no more computers for him to sell. So he would go to the upper management at IBM and tell them about what his customers wanted, what his customers needed, and try to enhance his sales productivity. But you have to understand, this was in the 60s, and companies back at the time moved very, very slowly. So what this young man did, he went to the top 7 salesmen in Dallas and approached them about starting their own business. He said, I got the customers, my customers are gonna follow me, we can all become rich. 6 of the 7 people left with this gentleman and started their own company. That gentleman was H. Ross Perot. The person that stayed at IBM was Hal Plough. So I tell people, follow their dreams. Do not be like Hal Plough and stay in the same place. Some people are destined to success, and some people are determined for success. Margaret Thatcher once said, if it's me against 48, I feel sorry for the 48. Joan of Arc, a 14-year-old girl who led thousands of men into battle, once said, I was born to do this, okay? You have a young girl leading men in a battle. She said she was born to do this. 80% of your results, psychologists, sociologists have studied this. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. But to be very, very successful and to really hit it big in the marketplace, 99% of your results come from 1% of your efforts. Only 1% of your efforts, okay? It's been researched over and over that talent is overrated. Tiger Woods was not this very gifted golfer. Mozart was not this gifted savant. Mozart's father was an excellent pianist. But by the age of 3, Mozart had practiced enough to be a 20-year-old man. Can you imagine jamming 17 years of practice into a 3-year-old? Tiger Woods, in the 3rd grade, Tiger Woods would get up at 5:30 in the morning, go play 9 holes of golf, and continue to school throughout the day. At the end of school, Tiger Woods would return back to the golf course and play 9 more holes in the 3rd grade. I'll tell you a story about Tiger Woods. He had just won a major tournament. flew on his private jet to his mansion in Florida, arrives late at night, and he begins to watch that day's tape of his play. And over the course of 2 or 3 or 4 hours, he's talking to his agent, he's calling his travel people, he's calling his assistant, he's signing autographs. But 3 to 4 hours into the tape, he notices something with his swing, and he pauses the tape and looks at it. He gets on his phone, he calls his golf coach, Butch Harmon, and says, "Get over here right now. I need to practice. I noticed a flaw." And we wonder why Tiger Woods makes $62 million a year in a year when he doesn't even win a tournament. Dedication, practice. Like it's always been said, success is a statistical event. You look at various people throughout their lives. I'll talk about Bill Gates. Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, in his freshman year at Harvard, him and his best friend Paul Allen go to the library and they notice an advertisement that gives a $5,000 gift to anybody who can make 2 computer software systems talk. You have to remember, back in the 70s, 80s, people had standalone systems. If you worked for ABC company, XYZ company's computer system didn't talk to you. They were all standalone. So what Paul Allen and Bill Gates did, they went to the desert of New Mexico. For 7 years, they tried. For 7 years, they failed. For 7 years, they were broke, and they finally thought they had it. So what Bill Gates did, he picked up the phone, and he called the president of Encyclopedia Britannica. And he went on to tell him about his new software system that he was going to load on the software and revolutionize software communications. The president of Encyclopedia Britannica hung up in Bill Gates' face. So what Bill Gates do? He regrouped himself, he picked up the phone, he called the president of Encarta. Encarta signed off on Microsoft, and today, Encyclopedia Britannica is out of business, and the software for Encarta on every software system with Microsoft. Suppose Bill Gates would have given up after that first denial. It wouldn't be a Microsoft today. I'm going to talk to something that maybe you guys have a little more knowledge of. Let's talk about Cash Money Records, Lil Wayne and his group. The Williams brothers, Slim and Baby, flew to New York to visit with Russell Simmons and Lyra Cohen at Def Jam Records. And they were pitching their record company to him. And the Williams brothers didn't know. They were from the hood of New Orleans. So they went on to tell these record executives how they were going to let them take part in their business. What happened was the owners of Def Jam kicked the guys out because what they did was, let me get it right. They went on to tell the owners of Def Jam that we'll let you have 20% of our record company and we'll keep 80%. But in the record industry, people like Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Celine Dion, Rolling Stones, the Beatles, they only kept 3 to 4% of their royalties. These guys were saying, we're going to keep 80. What they did, they got kicked out of the office, they fly back to New Orleans, and they continue to sell CDs out the trunk of their car, making $1 million a week, okay? Now they're making $2 million a week. The other companies, Arista, Sony, they find out that they realize that they have to get a piece of this pie. So what happens? Cash Money Records is the most profitable record company in the history of American music. What did I say in the beginning? Do something meaningfully different. Break the mold, zig when others zag. Every other artist today is trying to get the same deal of Cash Money Records. They don't have the most records sold, but they keep more of their profits. These young guys are the most profitable record company in the history of American music business, okay? I talked about another person with vision, persistence, and faith, Martin Luther King. He did the same thing every day of his life. He got up at 6:30-ish. He drank a cup of black coffee, drank a cup of orange juice, and for the next 45 minutes of his life, he meditated. He meditated on what he needed to do and how he was going to do it. Martin Luther King only had 6 suits in his entire life, 4 black, 2 gray. Okay, Martin Luther King is 27 years old. He took over the Montgomery bus boycott. The boycott was only supposed to last 1 day. It lasted over a year. You're talking about persistence, faith, and courage. Sometimes to be successful, you have to think less and do more. Think less and do more. You're always going to have the naysayers. You're always going to have the people telling you what you cannot do. what you cannot be. To be really successful, you have to move. You have to act. Pastor of the Potter's House, T.D. Jakes, once said, do something even if it's wrong. Okay? Do something. Move. Act. Let me tell you about millionaires. The average millionaire doesn't make it big till the 17th attempt. He's filed for bankruptcy 2.5 times, divorced 1.5 times. He's made tons of mistakes. In my business, I've made tons of mistakes. It's not the mistakes you make, it's how you handle mistakes. You make a mistake, you embrace it, you learn from it, and then you know what you do? You move on to the next mistake. What do you do with that one? You embrace it, you learn from it, and you move on to the next mistake. You will continue to make mistakes, but your goal and your purpose is to be better for the mistakes you made. Throughout history, in the last 2 centuries, people have studied one very important thing. What makes a person rich and successful, while the other one is poor and impoverished? They studied it for hundreds of years, okay? And you always read about, and you can go to any library or any bookstore, and you'll see books called The Secrets of Success. The Secrets of Success. The Secrets of Success. There are no secrets. It is a proven fact. Hard work, persistence, faith, and courage. I can tell you tons of people that were turned back at the door. Steven Spielberg, turned down by USC Film School 3 times. Harrison Ford, told by an executive at a Hollywood studio, you'll never make it in this industry. Meryl Streep was told she wasn't good looking enough. Lucille Ball was sent home with a note from her teacher that she had no skills, talents, and abilities, okay? Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, his teacher told his parents that he should go into farming because he was good with his hands and he liked outdoors, okay? A gentleman named Napoleon Hill studied success and achievement. He was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie way back in the 1920s to figure out what successful people were doing versus what non-successful people were not doing. Napoleon Hill was a man born in West Virginia in abject poverty. He never had a pair of shoes till he was 9. He never saw a car or locomotive till he was 12 years old. And what he did, he carved out a illustrious career in researching what rich and famous people did. Andrew Carnegie agreed to back him, but he didn't pay him any money. What he did was he gave him letters of introduction to the 500 most wealthy people in the United States at that time, the Wrigleys, the Sears, Henry Ford, and persons like that. And in interviewing Henry Ford, he said Henry Ford talked in one-word sentences. Henry Ford wasn't even the best mechanic at his shop. But what Henry Ford had that the best mechanics in the shop didn't have, he had the ability to take thought to application, thought to action. That's where most of us get stuck. We have this great idea, but we don't have the ability to move it to action. You will get 4 ideas a lifetime. It's a proven fact. You'll get 4 ideas a lifetime. They'll make you financially secure for life. But the major question is, well, do you have the faith, the courage, the persistence, and the belief to keep on trudging when other people will not? Booker T. Washington was another person with a lot of faith, courage, and persistence. He went around the South in the early 20s, soliciting money for Tuskegee University. In a short amount of time, he totaled about $6 million to start the college. You know how old Booker T. Washington was? He was 24 years old. Who has the courage of faith at 24 years old to ride around the South on a mule and a buggy to collect $6 million to start a school?